Okay, this is the first video lesson for section 2 in your trigonometry book, which I've entitled Angle Relationships in Similar Triangles, because again we're going to review a large amount of information from geometry class that you're going to need to know here in trigonometry. So first off, here is a picture of two intersecting lines. These two intersecting lines intersect at point E, and they generate four angles. Angle AEB, angle DEC, angle AED, and angle BEC. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off by discussing the idea of vertical angles, and we're going to use color to do that. So here you'll notice the green. So what we're going to do is we're going to mark the vertical angles. So vertical angles are non-adjacent angles formed by intersecting lines, which means that top angle, which is angle AEB, and the bottom angle, which is angle DEC, are vertical angles. Similarly, that same definition, non-adjacent angles formed by intersecting lines, would indicate that the angle on the left and the angle on the right are vertical angles. And again, this should not be new information. So that would be angles AED and angle BEC are vertical angles. Now, from geometry, we should know that vertical angles are always congruent, which means they have equal measure. Okay? So vertical angles is the first new old vocab word, if that makes sense. It's a vocab word you should already know from geometry, and that's just a quick review. Okay, next thing from geometry we need to discuss is the idea of parallel lines with a transversal. So here, you'll notice these colored in arrowheads. Okay, those markings mean the same thing as this symbol right here, which says that lines L and line M are parallel lines, which means that they are coplanar lines that will never intersect. Line T, on the other hand, is a transversal of lines L and M. That forms a total of 8 angles, which will usually be numbered like this: 1, 2, 3, and 4 at the intersection of T and L, 5, 6, 7, and 8 at the intersection of line T and M. And if you remember, there's an entire chapter of geometry based on this picture, because there are a bunch of terms that relate to those 8 angles and specific locations and relationships within. So first of all, if we mark angles 1 and 5, those angles are known as corresponding angles. Notice that they have the same orientation at different points of intersection. They are both on the upper left of their point of intersection. So that means there's 3 other sets of complementary angles in this picture. Angle 2 and angle 6 are also corresponding angles. Angle 3 and angle 7 are also corresponding angles, because they are both on the lower left. And angles 4 and 8 are also corresponding angles. Again, each pair of angles that I just named there are corresponding because they have the same orientation at different points of intersection. 1 and 5 are both on the upper left of their points of intersection. 2 and 6 are both on the upper right. 3 and 7 are both on the lower left. Corresponding angles are also congruent, which again means equal measure. Okay, the next relationship, which again we're going to use color to mark, in this case blue, are angles 1 and 8, which are an example of what are called alternate exterior angles. They are alternate because one of them is on the left side of the transversal and the other is on the right. That makes them alternate. And they are exterior angles because they are outside. These four in here would be interior angles because they're between the parallel lines. And those two and these two are outside the parallel lines, which makes them exterior. Okay, there's another pair of alternate exterior angles in this picture. Angle 2 and angle 7 are also alternate exterior angles. And alternate exterior angles are always congruent. Again, equal measure. Okay. Next up, next relationship. We are doing with the gray this time. That is angles 3 and 6. Notice that angles 3 and 6 occur on opposite sides of the transversal. 3 is on the left, 6 is on the right. That makes them alternate. And they're between the parallel lines, which makes them interior. So angles 3 and 6 are alternate interior angles. Alternate interior angles. There's another set of alternate interior angles in this picture. That would be angles 4 and 5. Alternate interior angles also are congruent, meaning they are equal measures. Okay, next up we have angles 3 and 5. Angles 3 and 5. Notice how they're on the same side of the transversal. That makes them consecutive. And they're between the parallel lines, which makes them interior. There is another pair of consecutive interior angles. That would be angle 4 and angle 6. They are also consecutive interior. And consecutive interior angles are a little bit different. Instead of being congruent, they are supplementary, which means that their measures, as we discussed in the first section, add up to 180 degrees. The final relationship for a transversal would be like angles 2 and 8. So angle 2 and angle 8. Those are consecutive because they're on the same side of the transversal. And they are exterior because they are outside of the parallel lines. There's another set in the picture. Angles 1 and 7 are also consecutive exterior. And just like consecutive interior angles, consecutive exterior angles are supplementary, meaning that their measures add to 180 degrees. So we have all these various terms, corresponding, vertical, consecutive interior, consecutive exterior, alternate interior, alternate exterior. But let's just simplify it. Okay, let's make it simpler than that. Okay? In this picture, we have basically two different angles. We have an acute angle, 2, 3, 6, and 7. All four of those angles are the same every single time. 2 and 6 are corresponding, which are congruent. 2 and 3 are vertical, which are congruent. 3 and 7 are corresponding, which are congruent. Okay? So those four are the same every time. We also have an obtuse angle, 1, 4, 5, and 8. Those four angles are always congruent. And if for some reason we were asked about one of the pinks and one of the greens, The pink and the green are supplementary. No matter which pair you pick, they would add up to 180 degrees. That's what this boils down to. Anytime we have parallel lines and transversals, it's going to break it into two different angles, which are going to be repeated over and over again. So hopefully that screen will help you out. That does it for the first video for section 2. There will be one or two more to follow.